think your mic's gonna pick that up just fine. It picked up me smoke. Slam and sand. What's that? Nothing, he's just setting back up. They said 1 more week until seasonals can apply on that book. That year already. Sure. Philosophy.
Okay. So podcasting goes back to click. You got chat and chat. Sam?
Yeah.
Can't really see chat, but if you want to interact with it, we can. Doesn't really matter. I usually don't unless I have questions.
Okay.
But a lot of people have just been like, "Show me your feet." So I just, I'm like, "Hey, shut the fuck up." So you can talk to them in chat. You just type it.
Yeah. Oh, you gonna show me feet?
No. Did you pack that already?
No.
Oh, I was like, going to.
Nah, you're in front of me.
No, my bad.
You good?
Sorry. Do you want me to introduce you?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh man, this is gonna take a hot ass minute.
Well, Senor, you ready?
Whatever you want.
You ready?
Whatever you want.
Cool, so check it out. You have to find an ad read. Not find one, make one. Can be about anything, just has to be an ad read.
Excuse me?
An ad read.
What the hell is that?
Like a
You'll learn.
commercial?
You can make up a real ad or a fake ad.
Yeah, doesn't matter. So, like for Coke, I have one for Coke. It's like sugar water. It's like water, but with
Neither
sugar,
of you
and
want
it
Coke?
tastes good. Nah, I'm gonna drink some water actually.
Does it have to be a real product?
David did one about the forge.
Blunt pass it.
Yeah. So, either way.
Just sometime in the middle.
Left tweets.
Whenever,
Catch these tweets.
whenever. So, I'll just go for it, and then, you know. Yeah, if you don't you know, periodically, if you don't say anything, I'll check in and be like, hey, do you have that? Oh, no. No. Yes, actually.
Sure.
And then we can go as long as you want. So if you feel tired and you're getting done, someone else. And me and Tony probably could have sat here and talked for 3 hours.
We probably could have too if we prepped.
Yeah. Morgan, on the other hand, got way too high and just sat there. So he was like, man, I feel bad because all I'm doing right now is sitting here because I'm way too stoned.
See, as long as I forget that we're actually streaming,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And just
usually
talking.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually a good way to think about it. That will make this a lot easier, actually.
And usually, because I have it up on the TV, people just stare at chat.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't do that. So
Right, do you need me to click anything?
yeah, click the podcast. Nope, down where, yep, lower, right there. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey Sam, today we got Sam on this podcast. He's you were 15th in the nation
Yeah.
for gymnastics.
About, yeah.
Just about. We'll talk about that, and then we also got scholasticism.
Stoicism.
Couldn't figure. I was trying to figure that out at work, and it just would not work.
I remembered it as I went upstairs earlier.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I got up there and I was like, oh, that's what it is. So, but hey, before we start, I got a fun fact for you.
Mhm.
Now that you two are forging, this will be good knowledge. But the modern day chainsaw, their ancestors, like the ancestor chainsaw, was actually used for childbirth.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. They'd used it to saw open for C-sections.
Interesting.
That
Sounds
utterly
horrible.
Yeah.
painful.
I mean, it's.
And
I know it's
like
bad,
you'll
pretty
not
bad
really
now.
be able to fucking close them back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, just cut them in half and then just.
Well, no, they cut the
The
stomach.
baby will
You
live.
know, they cut the stomach right there. You know, just enough to get in there, and then they do their work. But getting it back together was pain because
I watched a video on sharpening chainsaws. It's really not that hard.
no, it's just a
It's monotonous.
cross
Yeah,
end blade.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
a file. And you just run the file through the thing.
Yeah.
You do it a couple times, you move on to the next one. You just
Every single tooth though.
yeah, you gotta definitely mark the one you started at. That's for sure.
On like a minimum of at least a 30-inch blade
Mm-hmm.
Matched. Well, also fun fact.
or chain.
Or a chain, yeah. Another fun fact: Coke cannot be bought in North Korea. That's the only place in the world that it can't be bought.
Well,
Yeah, so it's
look at where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So speaking about that, Coke's our sponsor. One of our sponsors tonight. Coke is like sugar water. You got water and it tastes good, but Coke is like it tastes better because it has some sugar in it. So like, you ever want some sugar or some water with some sugar, just get a Coke.
Everything
So-
tastes better with sugar.
So just stuff like that, you know, just throw it in. You can try and make a segue like that, but it doesn't matter.
I got a fun fact. I think I might have already told you guys this. Did you know when you're ice skating, you're not actually skating on ice, you're skating on water? And I don't mean like ice is water type shit, but like if you put enough pressure on ice, regardless of the temperature, it immediately turns to water. So what happens is at the edge of the ice skates, as soon as it contacts the ice, it has so much pressure. I mean, because it's like, you know, razor thin on those ice skates, so it puts hundreds, if not thousands of pounds per square inch of pressure on it, so it immediately
The
turns it to
friction,
water.
Yeah.
And then right as soon as you slide over it, it refreezes.
Cool.
You can take that same concept and with a huge block of ice and push it through a fence. If you push hard enough, it'll go through the fence and refreeze on the other side into the same block, but it takes like 3 hours.
Well, you guys want to buy some hydraulic pumps? Push a
No.
block of ice through some fence?
Don't exactly have the time to just sit there and watch a block of ice go through a fence.
Plus, you'd have to be outside for 3 hours, literally just sitting here.
I'd really
Oh, well,
rather not.
you know, when we forge those katanas, we're gonna be
And I think you'd be better off doing like a grate rather than a fence, because when you're pushing against the fence, it's gonna bend.
Hmm.
You need something solid.
Yeah, something that'll make it through.
But yeah, that's cool.
What were you gonna say?
I forgot. Something about forging katana.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, we'll be outside for that for all day.
but hopefully that'll be in the summer.
Oh man.
I'm probably on.
Spring,
We will probably do
fall?
that spring or fall
Yeah.
because that's to forge a katana traditional style. Iron sand into the blast furnace for that. Takes at least a week
Yeah.
to melt, just to melt the metal down into the structure it needs to be.
How was that the other day? Forging? For the
It was
first
It
time?
was fun.
It was a blast. It was so much fun.
Once we got it up, figured out what temperature and like
'Cause you
how
gotta-
much airflow and
Yeah, because
everything.
you gotta like figure out airflow to propane to get the flame to the right temperature. And
So we set it to really low. We tried forging with that,
and
and then I was like, "This isn't enough." So I just opened up all the air and then just fucking cranked it.
it's a
And that
learning
was
process.
That was enough.
Yeah.
And then I just kept cranking it until it would kind of sputter, and then I'd turn it down and let it sit there for a while.
Because the first time we tried it, we were just
But we got it hot. We had
experimenting.
probably flame coming like 8 inches out of the forge.
Yeah,
We did.
we
It
killed it.
was-
What, like 2 times? Because we tried to put either too much propane, not enough
Oh,
air,
yeah.
too much air, not
No,
enough
we
propane.
killed it like 4 or 5 times doing it. That
Really?
in the beginning, yeah. But it was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But it was multiple times.
Yeah, time flew by.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
When
we
you're
started and we
fun.
were done. Like, it was,
Yeah, it was 6 o'clock when we were done, and I was like, "It doesn't feel like 6 o'clock."
Yeah.
And then we came here, and I was like, "Sam, we need to go back to forge."
Yeah. I was like, you still got 3 hours.
I'm awake. Let's go.
Well, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. But something that I don't really know too much about you is like how you got here with like your family.
okay.
Cause you kind of just showed up in our friend group
Yeah.
one day.
No, that's a g I don't think I've really ever like, I don't know, I don't really like talk to a bunch of people about stuff. Like, I don't think I've really ever talked to anyone about like the entirety of my life. So this will be a first for me. But, so, I mean, I guess we'll just start from the very beginning then.
And Stoicism isn't really about that either.
Well, actually, yes and no. Little to my knowledge, I actually held like a lot of the same stuff in Stoicism that like I just personally thought about, like my outlook on life, before I even found it.
Yeah,
Like, I found it and I was like,
this makes sense.
this is like, I do almost all of this stuff already. And I had never heard about it. I mean, I just found out about it maybe like a month and a half or 2 months ago. So I was like, wow, this really hits home. So we can get to that near the end, obviously. But no, let's see. First thing I remember ever happening in my life was when I broke my foot when I was 3. I was climbing a tree.
That is a pretty early memory.
Yeah.
I think I have one from when I'm 3, but I have to really dig if I want to remember that. Like, I have to go through all of my memories up until I was between like 10 and 5 in order to remember any of that.
Yeah.
But I can remember some of it.
Because I was born in what we called the Blue House when I was growing up. There's a town called Evansdale. It's kind of by Waterloo. But I don't remember anything there. And then we moved out to a farm in between basically Cedar Rapids and Waterloo. And I have 3 distinct memories from my childhood there. Breaking my foot when I was 3, climbing a tree
On the farm?
on the farm.
On the farm.
Yeah, so we had this tree, obviously, and then we had this board going up to it. Like there was like this cross section that we stuck a board in to climb up the board so we could climb the rest of the tree. And I was climbing up the board, and I got near the top, and it just like I must have like stepped on the side or something, and it flipped right over, and I just fell straight down and just landed like on the arch of my foot in the root, and broke my foot. But I was I was a fairly large baby. I was a 9-pound baby, but I was fairly small for most of my life, and they didn't have a boot small enough to fit me, so they just told me to wear the boot I wore when I broke my foot. It was orange and yellow and brown, and it had like furry stuff here at the top. I remember that boot, but that's all I remember. That second memory, I got bit by a field mouse.
What?
Yeah, me and my brother were just outside doing, I don't remember
Sam,
what.
what if you're carrying the plague then?
How old was your brother at this time?
It was my next oldest brother, so he was, if I was 3, this was probably, he was 4.5.
Okay.
He's a year and a half older than I am.
Yeah. So still has no idea what he's doing either.
Oh. I have, at that time I would have had, there would have been 6 of us in the family at that time. So we just really sort of like did whatever we wanted to a certain extent while we were outside.
Yeah.
And
it was back when you could actually do that.
Yeah. And so we were just doing something out in our yard, and we saw this field mouse, and I was like, oh, that's cute. So I was petting it, and all of a sudden I went to pet it again, and it just bit me. I was like, that's what field mice do, I guess. And the third thing, I'm 3 years old again, was we were just...
Sam sitting as a baby.
Yeah, really. Third thing I remember is we were about to move, and we had chickens, and we were moving back to Waterloo, or we were moving to Waterloo for my dad's work, because he works for, at that time, he would have worked for John Deere. And so it was like a 45-minute commute for him every day to work. And so he wanted a shorter commute, so we moved to Waterloo, and it's like 10 minutes from our house there. And so we had to kill all the chickens, because I'd say we probably had like 20 of them.
That's some fun shit.
Yeah, I got to cut off the head of a chicken when I was 3 years old. I remember that. That was awesome.
We had one run around for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
It was fucking insane.
It was great, because like we had, I don't know, probably like 10 chickens just laying on the ground headless right next to the chopping block, so that was cool. Let's see, after that we moved on the weekend of my 4th birthday, so I like to rub it into my brother's faces that I got the most expensive birthday gift in my entire life, a new house. That's that. Let's see, I was homeschooled for most of my life.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Hold on, what?
Yeah.
Until when?
It's kind of a long story. So the child that was born after me would have been my first sister.
You're well educated.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, just because he's homeschooled doesn't mean his mom was dumb. Or whoever's teaching it was.
Look, we tried to homeschool me, and I said, everything you're teaching me is wrong. Take me to a school.
Kind of. My
mom. That's what happens when you're smarter than your parents, Jack.
Yeah. My mom had a stillborn after me.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been my first sister. And so she kind of went off the deep end a little bit. She became one of those Bible thumping, jean dress wearing sort of deals. We didn't have a TV for like 3 or 4 years in the house. And so she kind of went off the deep end, which is kind of, it's understandable, sort of. Sure. That's a pretty intense thing to go through, because like she didn't have it taken out. She went to full term and gave birth to it, and so that was a pretty kind of intense thing for her, I imagine.
Yeah, it's fucked. How long? I'm not trying to and again, you can talk about whatever, but
no,
was it
the umbilical cord got wrapped around her neck in utero?
Where how long?
I'm not sure how long she was dead for in the womb. I don't know if it happened during birth or if she was already dead by the time she gave birth to it or what. So
That's crazy, dude.
yeah. So she sort of went off the deep end. That's kind of when we were starting, and since we lived out in the country, I mean, going to school was, there wasn't really anything around. So she homeschooled us, and my dad worked full time all the time, and my mom just stayed home with us and taught us school and did the house stuff. And yeah, so I was homeschooled from kindergarten to third grade. And then fourth grade, she decided to send us to school because at that point, she had just had my youngest brother. So that would have put 9 of us in the house then.
You have a younger brother?
Yeah, I have 4 older brothers, 3 younger brothers, and a younger sister.
Okay.
9 siblings.
Oh,
and then that one.
Because afterwards she was pretty religious.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I can't remember if it was my sister, because my sister's the second youngest, and I have a younger brother than her. I can't remember which one was the baby at the time. But there were 8 or 9 of us in the house, and so she couldn't really do school for 8 people or 7 people and take care of a baby. And there is this new school that opened up maybe like 5 or 8 minutes from our house. It's called Lou Henry. And so she decided that she was going to send us there and my older brothers to whichever the appropriate school was at the time.
Do you remember going to school there?
Yeah.
Do you remember like that year?
Yeah.
How?
Well, that year, not a whole lot.
But were you smarter than those kids, or were you on par?
I would say, because I've always been sort of like a competitor. There's this one kid in class I always liked to compete against, but it was him and then me.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Because
yeah,
so
your mom did somewhat of a good job.
Yeah. No. I mean, until my later education, it was good.
He was like, okay.
Oh. So 4th grade, I went to school all year. And, I mean, I didn't mind it from what I remember. I thought I did fine. I got along well with the other children, surprisingly. Have I hit this yet? I don't know.
Hit it again.
And then after that,
holy shit! All right.
for some reason, she decided to re-homeschool us, or keep us back home again, for half of my 5th grade year. And then after that, we went back to school because I don't remember why. I don't remember. And I went half the school year after Christmas at that school again. And then I went to Hoover, the middle school, which is connected because Lou Henry was Hoover's wife. And so it was Hoover Middle School, and it was attached to Lou Henry. So it was kind of neat. And then I went to school at Hoover the whole year for 6th, the whole year for 7th, and then 8th and 9th, I was back at home. 8th went well, 9th went well, and then she decided to send me to this Baptist school. That was not good. That was not good at all.
I remember you telling me about the Baptist school a couple times.
Yeah.
Your friend there. And
yeah, it was me and this one black kid. And like...
Take a hit.
And like it was me and him, and then everyone else was a bunch of Bible thumpers. And so yeah, I mean, that was a fun year. I'm not gonna lie, it was a fun year, but the schooling was horrible. The Spanish teacher literally stole my textbook from me, hid it from me from the entire year, and then gave it back to me on the last day. And here's how I know. I left it in the computer lab one day because I took it in there to do homework or something probably. And then I forgot it. And so next day I was like, oh, I don't know where my Spanish book is. And so I went up to her and I was like, hey, I left my Spanish book in the computer lab. Has anyone brought it to you? Because I mean, I think there was like 24 kids in the entire high school.
Yeah.
Because it was,
It's a fucking.
it's a
farm
private
company.
school, so it's like,
Well, I can't make Mark 2 on
and so I was like, obviously no one stole it because it's a bunch of Bible thumpers. So, someone probably grabbed it and brought it to her. So I was like, hey, do you know where it's at? And she's like, no. I was like, oh, okay. And then I noticed that there was this one book on this desk over on the side, and it was there. It was there since the day one. And, I kept asking her, and, I asked her maybe like, again, a couple days later, and then a couple weeks later, and then finally I just gave up. And that book was there the entire time. And it got to the end of the year, and they were asking to get them back. And I was like, hey, I still don't have my book, so I'll probably have to pay you for it. And she was like, go look on that desk over there. And that book was my book the entire year. And she knew it was there, and she never told me it was mine.
She's just being a prick about it.
Yeah. And so that was straight up
That's mean as fuck.
fucked. The math teacher, my math teacher, she actually wasn't a math teacher. She was...
Sure you hit that?
She had a doctorate for chemistry.
Why was she there?
Yeah.
I don't know. But she obviously taught the chemistry, and they made her teach this Algebra 1 class. The highest grade, there was 3 of us in the class, okay? It was me, the black kid, and this one, she was a super nice girl, but she was weird. She was really weird. She's one of those Bible thumpers.
Oh, yeah. As we all are in that young age.
Yeah. Don't remember how to do this. The highest grade in that class was a D+. It was the girl. She was a horrible teacher. Like, horrible. Like, no one understood anything she said, and she just didn't really ever explain it or nothing, and it was like, what is going on? And so I passed with a 61%, and I was failing at a 58, like the final week. And I brought in cookies, so I'm pretty sure the only reason I passed this class because I brought cookies the last week. But yeah, I passed with a 61.
Must have been some damn good cookies.
Yeah. And the black kid passed, I think he passed with a 61 too. And then she passed with like a 68 or a 69 or something. And like I was telling my mom all year, I was like because my parents were always sort of on me about grades. They never really got on me about homework or anything else like that. But like if I had bad grades, they would say something. And she would bother me all year. It's like, why are you getting such a low grade in this class? I was like, hey, it doesn't make sense. She can't explain anything. And so, that was the whole year. And then that was that. The biology teacher was super, super cool guy. Like, he was weird.
You hit that.
Okay.
Mark 2. You probably have an image for it, but...
I have a rough image for Mark 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, so just make it this.
That's hot.
Here? Right?
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
See,
And
I was
then
thinking
have
cut it
as
off.
this.
I was thinking cut it off here.
And then bend that end
No.
down.
And then beat that out so that it's thinner.
Careful, it's hot.
But we could extend this too. What was the second thing you said?
Okay, so just have it... Let's say that...
because that's ready to go.
Whoa, where's the mic? Oh man. Thank God, everybody can watch this and nobody has to listen to it like on the radio or something.
Yeah.
This is funny.
This is the first thing we blacksmith, so I'm proud of it.
Yeah, this
Fuck
is,
you.
So it's just this top half, right? So it's here. This is all of it, right? You can move this down or whatever, however you want to do it, whatever lengths. But have this be the end. You can probably put a thing right here. I'm not right now, but yeah, make this thinner, and then
Make that one thinner too.
so cut it. So then make it thinner, so you can have it. It's not as heavy. It won't be as heavy.
Cutting that off is going to take a lot of that weight because a lot of that weight is just because that's way the fuck out there.
Yeah.
So
But
if we cut it
have
like right here,
But
that's
have it.
a lot of weight cut
and
off.
then
Yeah. But I mean, if you're gonna have it here.
But
right?
also, yeah, we can, cut this off, beat this out, so it's thinner and tapers, and then we can round it and make a nice handle for it. We can do the same with this, just shorter.
well, we can, but remember we also can't sort of until we find something that works as a horn.
Right, we need a horn.
Because we don't have an actual.
We don't have
right
a
now.
horn.
Okay, so
So we can do curves, but not
Where's
really.
those farming auctions?
I know.
make a grip for here. Have this piece just be the piece. So you just light it. You put it in here, and then you light it, right? And then you just here's the thing. That way, it's there all the time. And you just here you go, and then you grab on, and then.
What if we take the teeth out of the vise and use the edge of the vise?
Yeah. Okay. I think we talked about
That'd
that.
be a small horn.
Yeah. We wouldn't be able to do a full circle though. Or do they come off the
We
end a little bit?
we can use the handle for the vise and beat it around that circle and then just spread it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could just also like start at the very tip and start rounding it and just push it down more and just keep
Yeah.
turning it over.
Yeah,
That
we
would
do
work
have two
too.
people. We're more than capable.
Yeah.
I've got some other stuff we need to talk about before we start next time. Before we forge on Sunday.
Right.
Because I think I know what both of us need to work on a little bit.
Well, no, what do you have to work on?
Okay, so Sam's really good at hitting where he wants to hit every time. I'm not so good at that. I'm still working on that. It's been a minute since I hammered, and that's
So
a skill I do
accuracy.
have to do a lot in order to get. That's just, my shake.
Best surgeon in this side of the Mississippi, but he has Parkinson's. So.
So I need to work on hitting it where I want to hit it more. Because it's not that I'm not hitting it lengthwise, it's I keep going over or under.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're twisting the bar, I just want to hit in one spot on the anvil. That's my goal. You need to pay more attention to like where that spot is and then move the metal so that I'm beating it into shape.
That way you're not having to move the hammer. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Because I was trying to just keep it in the same spot the whole
Yeah.
time.
And I was noticing that, and I was doing really well moving the metal, getting the metal to be hit where it needed to be hit by just having you hit the one spot.
It's just a different way we hammer.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, no, I've been thinking about that. So we'll work on that on Sunday.
Give that a shot. Let us know. Yeah. Okay, so
Anyway, where was I at?
how did you get from there to here?
Okay, yeah, I skipped a big part in there. I don't know how I did this, but it's like second nature to me at this point. The reason I am here, the way I got here, was through gymnastics. And so I started that when I was 7.
He said, wait, I gotta, yeah, go, but yeah.
It's just like it's always been a thing, so I just sort of forget about it. So yeah, I started that when I was 7, and competed through it. And I look back, like I didn't really think about it then, but I look back at it now, and I'm not trying to like sit here and toot my own horn or anything, but like I mean, facts are facts, I guess. I was fairly decent. Like I won the state championship 9 years in a row,
That sounds pretty fucking good to
for
me.
my
I
age.
mean, yeah, dude.
Look, you don't have to be on par with fucking Olympics. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's not great or fantastic. That's perfect.
To be a defending champ 9 years in a row is, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's not.
that's insane.
And it's also the same thing. It's like, it's not like you're doing the same thing every year. It's not like football where it's like, well, I mean, obviously you do the same thing every year. But it's like the same concept. Like, it doesn't really get more difficult for the players to do the thing. They just have to do different things. Does that make sense? It's like,
Yeah.
instead of running here, you go there, or you block this way.
Do you have to? Is it like?
It's
you-
progressional. Like, obviously you start at the basics and you do sequences of basic skills on each event, meaning a routine. Okay, and the next year it's harder. Like, it's completely different skills, brand new routine, and you learn the skills through the year, and then
I've
you
assumed
practice
that's
the
what you
routines, and then you go into competition.
I was just handing them to you, just.
So, and then it gets harder the next year, and then harder and harder, and eventually you move from what's called compulsory gymnastics, which is for boys, it's level 4 through 7. For girls, it's level 3 through 5. And the compulsory levels are set routines. Like, this is the routine. These are the skills you need. This is how you have to do it. After you get past level 7, 8 through 10 for boys, and then 6 through 10 for girls, is called optional levels. And you get the just a list, or it's a book actually. You get a book of every single skill there is. Anything that's ever been invented, anything ever done, it's all in the book. And it's separated by events. And it's also, well, it's a process, but I'll get to that a little later. So every skill in that book is given a difficulty rating. It started out at the time when I started on optional level was A through F, and each A through F is A is a 10th, B is 2/10, C is 3/10, and so on. Okay.
Hit that.
Yeah.
Every time you sit there and take that breath, and you sit and think,
Yeah.
let's take that hit.
Let's see, where was I? Optional. Okay.
3/10.
And then
through
so
F,
on. Okay. Now I'm gonna scoot back to the compulsory. There's also in the compulsory levels, they have a base routine, and then at the time, they all had 2 bonuses that you could do. So you get extra points for doing above and beyond what the normal routine was. So all normal routines started out at a 9.0, so 9.0. If you did the 2 bonuses, each one was worth half a point, so you could be up to a 10. Okay? So I remember and this is really the only thing I remember from my early years of gymnastics. Like, I don't really remember like training at all or nothing. But my state meet, my first year, I scored a 58.1 out of 60. So on 6 events, I had 1.9 in deductions, which is
That's really good.
yeah. I mean, that's near perfect.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, it's the very lowest level, so I mean, it's not difficult. But either way, that's just something I remember.
So could I do it?
So that's pretty much about it for the compulsory. Compulsory levels are pretty boring. Back to the optional, going through the books again. So the 1/10, 3/10, 4/10, stuff like that. There's routines when you get to the optional level are broken up into, at the time, 5 different categories of skill. Now it's 4, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So you start, if you do a routine, you start at a 10-0, 10-0 flat. You have to have at least one skill from each of those 5 categories. And it's different for each 6 events. So I won't go into detail on those because that would just be redundant. Now, I didn't mean you had to, but in order to get the highest score possible, you have to do at least one element from each of the 4 groups. Okay? Each time you get an element from a group, you automatically get half a point, and then you get the difficulty of that skill added on. So let's say you do an A skill from group 1. You get, instead of starting at a 10, you get half a point, so 10-5, and then 1/10 for the difficulty of the skill, so 10-6. Okay? Now, obviously, most of my career, except for one event, I had all 5 of those. So you automatically start at a 12-5 because you get the 5 categories, so half a point in each category.
Well, which one were you not good at?
Well, it's not that I wasn't. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's get through this. So 12-5. Well, 13 technically, because if you do 5 skills, the easiest skill you can do is an A, so you automatically get at least 1/10 for each skill. So 13 was the lowest you could start at. Crap, where I was going? Oh yeah. So obviously you don't just do 5 skills. In order for a proper routine to be made up, it had to be 8 skills. Okay, so you would have some crossover between. You'd have some skills in like 2 skills in this category, 1 skill in this category, maybe 3 skills in this category, depending on what you were good at. And obviously, I mean, A's are basic gymnastics, so like most of your routines aren't made up of A's. So normally it was more like B's and C's and D's and stuff. So A, B, and C is kind of like what I would consider advanced gymnastics. It's like back flip with 2 twists on floor, front flip with a full twist in a laid out position.
College cheerleading.
No, not even that. That's too hard for them still. Most of the college cheerleading fulls are about as far as they get. So back flip with 1 twist, which is a B element. So it's still sort of in the range, but it's more near the.
It's more
I
than
mean,
I can do.
A and B is like. The difference between an A skill and a B skill is significantly easier than the difference between a B skill and a C skill. Okay, so it's not exactly perfectly a straight line of difficulty from A, B to C to D.
Well, I mean, you take, you can go from A class to C class or S class, and that jump is, I mean, you're not ready for that. Good luck.
Where is it? Okay. Now, you can also get what's called connection bonuses for connecting two skills together that equal a certain amount of points. So you could get bonus points for connecting 2 C's directly together. So let's say like a back flip in a laid out position with a 1.5 twist is a C. Front flip in a laid out position with a full twist is also a C. You could, the lowest, the score had to add up to 0.6 in order to get bonus points. So C and C, 3/10 and 3/10 is 6/10. And so you would get 2/10 of bonus for directly connecting those two. So let's say you go round off, back with a full and a half, and then immediately as soon as you land, you punch and do a front full. So that'd be CC connection, so you'd get 8/10 for that series of skills put together.
Oh man, we have notes and everything for Scotchnalishism.
I don't need notes for this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all...
We're gonna be here all night.
Yeah, this is embedded in my brain.
Oh shit. Hey, Zoo, thanks for doing that. Wait, let me take your...
that's how score. Hi, sweetie. That's
My
how.
dog opened the door by herself.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Your dog opened the door by herself.
Which one?
Yours.
I mean, which door?
The sliding door.
Ow. What? What?
I opened it.
Yeah.
I went up. I closed it.
Okay.
And she opened it with her nose.
Oh. That's...
Or
Probably
her
wasn't
paw. I
closed.
don't know. But she opened it when I turned my back.
Okay, so
that's routine building.
yeah.
So there's a lot of math involved.
No.
And like if you combine like a C to D connection, you get 3/10. D to D would be 4/10, and so on and so forth. So that's that. So how I'm up here because of gymnastics. When I had been through 4 through 9, and I was at level 10 at the time. What are you doing?
Come on.
No, they're fine. I don't have all the actual wiring out, so they'll be all right.
So I was at level 10 at the time, so the highest level. Now there is a level after level 10. Technically, it's called Elite, which is like the guys you see in the Olympics and stuff. So you have to be a level 10, and then you're what's called a Junior Elite if you're under 18, and then Senior Elite if you're over 18. So I was at first year level 10, and at that point, looking back to where I am now, I was not a good level 10. Skill-wise and form-wise, and just really actually mentality-wise.
So you need to get good.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the people I work for now, my coach at the time, who I realized, and now that he's a great guy. Like, I like the dude, his personality, he was easy to get along with, but he was not a good coach. And, like, gymnastics really isn't really a whole, like, it's really, like, it's easy. If you're a gymnastics coach, it's one of the easiest coaches you can be. Because the majority of gymnastics, up to a certain point after, like, very, very basic level gymnastics, is basically taught to yourself. Like, a coach can, like, know the technique and tell you how to do it, but, like, ultimately it's up to you to really, it's a complete mind and body connection. Like, you have to understand it up here to understand at what time, at what point you need to do this certain thing, and it's up to you to get your mind and your body to connect and be able to successfully do that, which is, like, a lot of it is, like, overcoming fear of new things, because, it's... Yeah, that. So really most of it is learned from yourself, other than the proper technique, which really only takes one explanation. What a coach is good for is making you do things when you don't want to do things, especially like strength training and getting ready for competition, because at that level you should be doing the routine, or at least working it, like at least 2 to 3 months in advance to your very first competition, in order to do it successfully the way it should be done. And that was something he was super... I would go into competitions maybe making a single routine the week before or the week of. And so I really had no, like, preparation for a meet at all, which is a lot of the reason why I didn't perform very well. And like as an athlete, that's a super, super hard thing to do because, I mean, it's difficult. Like
Yeah.
it's very frustrating, and it's
it really
and it's hard. Like
yeah,
I mean,
it's very
gymnastics
tense on
really
the
doesn't
body.
take a whole lot of endurance, but like the idea behind it is like it's all fast twitch muscle response stuff. So it's all a lot of effort, really fast, and you have to like look perfect. Essentially, is the entire goal is to make the difficult look easy by doing it beautifully. It's a work of art, really. And so that's where he struggled a lot as a coach, and so I struggled a lot as an athlete because honestly, I didn't know any better. Like I thought that was normal, and so my bosses at this point now had invited him to come work with their sons because they were gymnasts as well, and we had known them throughout the gymnastics world. And so he said yes, and he invited me to come with him. He was like, "You want to move to Cedar Rapids to train because I got this new job?" And it just so I mean, my older brother I live with now, he lived here at the time, so I just ended up moving in with him. And obviously I still live with him, as well, and so I went to school here.
Yeah.
And trained, and I mean, Kaylee was the first one to talk to me, and then Logan started talking to me, like the day of. Kaylee talked to me.
Doesn't surprise me though. Kaylee was the first to talk to me too.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember right, the first thing he ever said to me was, "You do gymnastics, right?" That is one thing I do remember. And I was like, "Yeah." And then it just started. And then I met you that same day in the hallway. We were walking to Mr. Leary's class. Is that is on the other side?
Oh, fuck! What's his name?
It was Mr. Leary, wasn't it?
High school. Oh God.
What's the dude's name? The tech guy for theater.
Lamb.
No, Lammers. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Lammers. What was I talking
Oh
about?
my
then?
God.
Leary.
Boy, dude. Leary? You were kind of close.
That was a crazy class, dude.
Lammer.
Kids were
Leary?
bringing in those little THC vapes.
Oh man, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that was intense. And that's when we made the disc golf video that year.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I sat in his class while he was teaching. I was the worst student in his class. I sat in his classroom and I disassembled an iPhone, like a regular iPhone. I just sat in the back and bashed it and then used a pencil and tried to dig everything out of it like an iPhone for like the
That's
whole.
fucked up.
I like that class. That was one of my most favorite classes.
Did you get a headache?
No.
You're lucky
Yeah.
they didn't fucking burst the battery pack.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Could have
alright.
fucked some shit up.
He was really cool about it. He just let me do it. So,
Yeah.
That sounds like bad teaching.
I was a freshman, so I was a douche.
That sounds like
As we all were.
Yeah. That's for
I just took naps.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I slept every class, passed them all, flying colors, never paid attention.
It was great, dude. Mr. Green let me do it. He was like, listen.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Green.
Oh,
like,
I love
he
I
was like-
never showed up to his class on time.
Yeah.
I always waited till the last 20 minutes. He was my first class, too. It was great.
I think I did so well in
If I
that
did go to
class.
school that day.
I always volunteered to read out loud Shakespeare. Like,
Please.
it's not hard.
Please. Will you read us A Tale of Shakespeare?
I mean,
A small passage.
I mean, I don't know it by memory.
What's up, Jake? Pull one up.
Let's see. What book did we read? What book did we read?
Hamlet,
Was it Hamlet?
Romeo and Juliet.
Did we read all of those?
Definitely read Hamlet.
No,
What's that
no
one?
way. It was something else. Cause were we? No, we weren't in that class together. We didn't really have many classes.
I had
together.
Mr. Green though first hour.
I
We
think-
had economy.
Yeah, I was like, isn't it?
Remember when he made me show my tattoo
Yeah,
in class?
yeah.
Like, dude, it's
Oh,
on
man,
my
Mr.
chest.
McMahon.
How the fuck am I gonna what?
Me and Mr. Dr. McMahon, we were homies, man.
Dude, so were we, and I never showed up to his class.
Yeah, I always went to his class, but yeah, you're right. You never showed up.
Yeah, I didn't show up to a lot
And
of
then
classes.
I stopped showing up halfway through the year because I was hanging out with you guys. I think I had like 144 absences.
Dude, I went
That
to
year?
four classes senior year, and I still passed.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't pass bad. I mean, I think I graduated with like a 3.4 or 3.5, somewhere in there.
Not bad. Well, that's high school, but yeah.
Macbeth?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Macbeth.
Or was it? Did we also read Othello?
No,
No. That might have been.
I think we read 2.
Well, I had to retake first term freshman language arts.
No, I would have been senior year.
I did that like my junior year.
Oh.
They just let me do the last half because I passed, and then take the second year, and then they were like, well, you got to retake this. Because that was when I was really serious about football, but not about school. So I'd work out, get done at like 7 p.m., go home, get an hour into studying, and just done. Out.
Yeah. That sucked. It was the best 2 years of my life.
Yeah, I had to quit after that year because I failed a class. Also, after I quit, at homecoming, I met Logan again. So, we started hanging out every day anyway, so, fuck it. We went and climbed buildings instead of playing football.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I met Logan and David. I don't really remember. I think I met you at Mason's, didn't I? I don't really remember when we met.
Yeah. I remember the first time we hung out, you helped me buy an Xbox.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, we went to a pawn shop and I bought an Xbox.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then we went to Wendy's.
Yeah.
I can't find any, like,
We went to that one right down on First Ave.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I remember that.
Oh man.
Vaguely.
I remember cruising the avenue.
Yeah, that was a good time.
God.
which time?
Yes, all of them.
All of the times. We did that quite a bit. In the red jet. That was awesome.
Done it in many positions too.
Yeah, somebody in the trunk. Yes.
Going 100 with
Dude,
the bag of
Mason
roses.
drove down from First Ave where that little bridge is. He drove down that in the median all the way to the next stoplight. Like, he drove. So you take that left, go under it, go like you're going from school. Take a left, then take another left, and you're on First Ave. Feel me?
Left.
Okay,
Left.
you're at Walgreens.
Brr.
Okay.
Take a left.
Yeah.
You go under the bridge.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
That from where that is, that median the whole way over to that stoplight. That's got to be at least almost a half mile.
Just right in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
Mhm.
going like 42. Someone in the trunk.
And kids are stupid, aren't they?
Yeah. Gosh.
We were there once too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
We have
I don't know what
rotates.
everybody else gets up to, but I feel like we did some stuff that was
Not
kind of out there.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah.
climbed the
Boston Foods.
yeah, and we peed off the top, or I peed off the top. I remember that.
I threw a golf ball.
Yeah,
So
And there was a guard in the tower too, wasn't there?
Yeah.
When we snuck in.
It was
That was a long way up.
extremely windy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, so
How many kids do you think they can say they did that?
the way we found that out, well, the way we did that, I climbed it with this one kid beforehand. And at first, that night, it was really windy. So we just climbed up the,
Yeah, you only climb it like halfway, right?
we climbed up the, oh yeah, in the end, yeah, holy shit. We got up there and we were like, no, if we flip over to this ladder, that's it. We get up there, we couldn't, so we got down. We did it that night. So, oh shit. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was insane. That was dope.
And then we
I'd
got
do-
to take.
If I go back to the same night, I'd 100% do it again.
No,
Oh,
not that night.
I might
Well,
take a shit off the side.
no, not that night.
yeah, it was, and then after
Just
that,
poo on the
I would
top
go
of the
back.
building.
I liked climbing Regis though.
Yeah,
Regis
we did
was
that
great.
a lot.
Oh, man.
That one was fun. It had a rock wall.
We did that by
I was
range.
always the first.
Oh,
I
man.
fucking loved freehanding that shit. I was a pro.
It was awesome.
And then Logan fucking rappelled down, and I was like, I don't trust that.
Yeah, dude, the first time going down that, whoa, fuck. That's not.
I was a lot heavier than any of you, so I didn't trust it.
Yeah.
I had a good 40 pounds on on Logan. And he didn't weigh a little bit.
I can't wait to punch that kid in the throat.
Yeah.
He was great. I don't want to crack my knuckles. I want his esophagus to do it for me. It's. God.
See,
Oh man, yeah. So,
I met Logan David, talked to you. We did crazy shit.
yeah. So
Fuck yeah.
What happened after that?
We got a Ford.
do you have
Well.
do you have an ad read? Not one up yet?
No, I haven't thought
Have you
about
even not even have you thought about it at all?
it. No.
I have beef. So we get into coaching. Do you still coach?
Yep.
You still go to tournaments all the time?
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
To who?
Meets.
Yeah.
Tournaments?
Mhm.
Oh man. How great is it to watch a kid develop and then win? Have you had anybody win?
A few people.
Has anybody
But what I coach is what's called Excel. Now, there's two different paths you can take for gymnastics. One is called JO, Junior Olympic. Not JO, Junior Olympic, but JO stands for Junior Olympic. And then there's what's called Excel, which is, I mean, both of them are for mainly talking girls. For boys, it's only JO, but I don't coach boys, I coach girls. So what I coach is Excel gymnastics, and essentially, basically what it is it's not very intense. Like, it's very, like, it's low commitment. Like, you work out 2 days a week, 3 at the very most. And, like, mainly it's for girls that, like, originally it started for girls that just got started later, because in order to progress through the JO program the proper way, you have to start at 6 or 7. Well, not everybody starts at 6 or 7. Well, I mean, you should be the lowest level at 6 or 7. So level 4 for girls, or level 3 for girls, you should be 6, 7. 8 is the very boundary of it. Now that means you have to start at like 3, 4, 5. And well, if you don't start at 3, 4, 5, and you're not getting into it till you're 7, 8, 9, I mean, you're not going to progress through it properly, and it's super intense. Like, I mean, it's at the lowest level, it's usually 12 to 15 hours a week. So for girls that are like 10, 11, 12, where they've grown,
How long did you spend a week training?
at the beginning, start off 2 3-hour days for the first year. 3 3-hour days the second year. Once I got to level 6, it stayed 3 3-hour days, but I competed level 6 twice, because every Olympic year the routines change. That way it's not the same forever. So every 4 years the routines are completely reworked by the whoever.
Not on the bed.
So I had competed level 6 at that final cutoff year of when it was going to change. And it was significantly more difficult than what it ended up being the next year. They made things a lot simpler because their numbers were going down, and so they made everything easier, which is understandable. So I did level 6 2 years in a row. Now after level 6, I went to level 7. It was 2 3-hour days and 2 4-hour days. So what is that? 14. So 14 hours, right? Yeah. And then after level 7, I moved to level 9 because at the time level 8 was a joke. I mean, no one did it. The only levels you have to do are.
You could do that, David. Do that.
What?
What was it?
What?
The ones that nobody does.
Level 8?
Yeah.
But it's not the same anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
It just used to be.
What am I doing?
nothing.
Okay.
Petting your dog.
Yes.
So I moved to level 9, and then I moved to 4 4-hour days and 1 3-hour day. So 19 hours. And so I did that from 8th or 9th grade to the end. Halfway through my senior year.
Okay.
So anywhere from 19 to 21 hours a week. Well, 18 to 21 hours a week.
Weird. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Part-time job.
Yeah, on top of a part-time job, on top of school.
Yeah.
And I've had a job since I was 13.
The same job?
No.
Pretty much?
No. I ran papers first. So I was about 14 or 15, like 14 and a half. And then there's an ice cream shop like 3 minutes away from our house, like walking distance, 3 minutes. And so I worked there for a year and a half. That was, I've had it kind of lucky. I really haven't had a job that I like haven't not enjoyed. So it's kind of hard for me to say what is my favorite job, except for the one I'm working now. But
I was 11 years old, and my brother was 13, and we used to go clean a bar every day or 4 days out of every week. So we were only like 11 and 13.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There was already like drunks there when we were cleaning at 9 in the morning.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It was bad.
I had my own bed in Dortmund. Yeah. I would sit back there. I would just draw. And then when I got older, I was like, hey, if you want to go home, get your ass up. I was like, oh, okay. Great.
And then I got to be a chef when I was 13. That was good shit.
Fuck yeah. Alright, so what did the sport teach you? Like, overall? Like,
oh my goodness.
habits-wise, like, mental.
It's hard to say because I've been doing it so long. Like it is essentially like my life. Like discipline for sure. There's really mainly one area that I lack discipline in that I have noticed, and that is my diet. Like, I just sort of eat whatever the fuck I want.
Yep. Don't care.
Same.
I mean,
Oh man.
I mean, like, when I'm eating something I know I shouldn't be eating, it's like, I know I shouldn't be eating it. But it's like,
yeah.
I mean, I could fix it. No problem. I just have to put effort into it, and I just don't put that much effort into it.
And at the moment, that can be really expensive.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's not.
But no, like, and this kind of is going to start into our next topic, so we'll get to that when we get to that.
How do I want to just...
A lot of these behaviors in Stoicism, I'd say I learned, not necessarily learned, but developed through developing my gymnastics.
Look, hold on, I am... food, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cost of food, healthy food, is expensive. Correct?
Yes and no.
How no?
I mean, chicken and vegetables.
Veggies are, yeah.
Chicken and vegetables is a perfectly
eggs.
meal. I mean, it's a perfect
milk.
meal.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I eat.
Protein's the most expensive out of all that.
Yeah, and in that, I mean, if you're just feeding yourself, it's actually a whole lot cheaper than eating out.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's like... Okay, and that's another thing, actually. I mean, what I think... And I'm going to generalize a lot here for a second. I think
Look, if we're wrong, chat, but...
especially nowadays, too many people eat purely for pleasure and not enough for, like...
Oh yeah,
what
you
they
bet your ass I'll
actually
eat 2
need.
pounds of mashed potatoes just because I fucking feel like it.
No, not even that. It's like...
I'm gonna eat my cheesecake, my chocolate.
Like, it's like... Just...
Ice cream.
If it doesn't taste good to them, or if they don't, like, absolutely 100% enjoy it, like, they don't eat it. Like, it's... I mean, there's plenty of other options that are, like... I mean, there's stuff that's specifically made
seasoning.
to... No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's like, they just don't want to put in as much effort, whereas you could buy... just
a burger
something
that
that's specifically made to
grease.
taste good, and like it's tested that it tastes good, and it's pre-made and it's easy, but they're not a lot of times not real great for you.
So you know what you guys want? Get some Mickey D's?
No, dude, I haven't eaten McDonald's and
no, it's good.
Holy shiznit.
Because like vegetables, like, I mean, not everyone likes vegetables, but it's like vegetables are, I mean, this is gonna sound redundant, but vegetables are good for you. like they have a lot of good vitamins and nutrients to keep your body healthy and functioning properly.
Wait, hold on. What?
Yeah. Crazy thought, right?
Is
that
this
rabbit
tested?
food?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying like just eat vegetables and you'll be okay. I mean, you need protein, absolutely. Obviously, but I mean, like.
Okay, so do you do an all plant diet or an all meat diet?
Neither. Remember, I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and ride on my high horse, okay? I mean, I am definitely guilty of this too. But like, it's something I've been getting better recently about after doing a lot of listening to the Stoicism stuff, which one of their big like virtues is discipline, and like living a disciplined life, and like knowing, hold on, I wrote it down, like knowledge of like what's good and what's bad, and like what to choose and what to be aware of and what to be indifferent about, and like always like putting thought into what you do. Like you don't just run on autopilot and just do stuff. Like every little thing you do every
What if
day,
I do that on autopilot?
think about why you're doing it, and like fully think about it before like or while you're doing it. Don't just like do stuff to do stuff.
Oh, that's just
Kind of feel that way. Yeah. Oh boy. Sorry. Spaced out for this.
That's alright.
Well, you got a whole list of. Is that all stoicism?
Yeah.
Go for it. What do you have on?
Okay, well,
Teach me
we'll
about
just cut
this.
out a bunch of stuff because I think I'm just rambling on at this point about my life. But like,
no, I was interested.
Yeah.
I mean, I can keep going
That's
because I mean, this
good.
works into
Yeah.
sort of.
Teach me about it. Because the only thing I had written down, like I listened to what you sent me, and then I actually kind of listened to. There's like an hour-long thing, or 2 hour-long something about like what it is. So I kind of have somewhat of a thing, but yeah, let's see what you got.
Okay, so I'll just cut into the end of the story, and then this is where it all kind of starts. Like one of the main practices of Stoicism is, or teaching of Stoicism, I guess, is there's only two different types of things that you're going to experience in your life. There is things in your control and things not in your control. Okay, there's only three things completely 100% in your control. Not your actions bring these certain outcomes, because that doesn't work every time. It's like there's three things. And that is your desires, what you desire, what you do, your actions, and then your attitude towards things or your emotions. Those are the only three things in life that you can 100% absolutely control with certain disciplines. I mean, and then second thing is everything not in your control. It would be everything else. And what that one of the main teachings of Stoicism is, don't blow yourself up over things that are out of your control.
Yeah,
Like you just have to accept that like other people, like the things they do it because they think it's right.
It's their own.
Everyone has their own view of the world. So like one of the things in that book, Marcus Aurelius, which is one of the Roman emperors, he was a practicing Stoic and one of the most famous Stoics because he ruled the Roman Empire for 19 years and he was one of the most beloved emperors there were. Like he didn't do any like adultering or like all that stuff that the Roman Empire did. I mean, everyone was fucking everybody, and I mean, gladiators. I mean, they're purely putting people through serious amounts of pain purely for entertainment. Like, have you ever read or looked up anything about what they did to gladiators?
I mean,
like we think about it now, it's like, oh yeah, guys fighting. I mean, they were like
killing each other.
not even killing each other. Most of the time, they were releasing wild animals, and the wild animals would tear the gladiators apart.
Yeah.
And then if they ended up killing the first animal,
then
another one would come out until it killed them and tore them apart.
Kill one tiger.
Really?
And now we've got three.
And then, or they keep the guy and then save him and then do it again.
Or
see if how many.
A lot of times, what happens if they made it past there is they would fight other gladiators, and if you faked your death, let's say in the ring, they took you out, and like I don't remember all the details, but like they fuck you up. Like, bad. Now, if you died dishonorably in the ring, like you were crying or like begging for your life or something like that, they would drag you out by a chain and just drag you around the arena after you got killed and just basically like completely disrespect your body in every possible way you could think of. So like, and then if you died honorably, so you didn't beg for your life while you were just waiting there to be killed, like then they actually, I mean, then you got buried. I mean, that was like, it was not good stuff. It was people's entertainment on other people's pain and suffering, which is seriously kind of fucked up.
Do you think we could implement that back into society and use that as a curing way for the population?
No. That, I mean, that's, I mean, we talk about it and like think it's like, but like that's,
It's fucked up.
it's intense shit.
Yeah.
You guys
Like,
don't see
if
the
you're
fire burn
watching
behind my
that
eye.
purely for pleasure, like, that's messed up.
Okay,
Yeah.
but listen, okay, we do football games. I mean, we could just take the money, half the money from football games and tax the fuck out of that to get out of some debt. But we can use that to cure population control, and people would go watch it. So then we can just take that money and then pay off our debt.
Yeah, but all gladiators were slaves. That is the thing too, which means you'd have to bring back slavery, which is also a really fucked up concept.
No, it'd be like Hunger Games, just draw names.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. I mean, so at that point, everyone's pretty much possibly a slave.
And everybody's, yeah. Well, I feel like something that I believe that as a human, one of your like universal,
Rights,
not
freedoms.
no duties
Okay,
is to continue humanity.
absolutely.
So, I mean, if we get way too many people on one planet and we aren't going anywhere,
That'll take care of itself. You know how many people they theorize we're gonna get up to before it starts dropping drastically?
a lot.
9 billion.
Yeah,
So not that much more.
yeah.
We're at almost 8 at right now.
What happens after 9?
I don't know. I haven't really like researched like
um,
how it. I assume disease.
The universe will do what it needs to do to keep its balance. I'm a strong believer in the universe. If it has to happen, it will happen. You have some leeway in your fate. Like, you yourself is your own being. You're a vessel, in a sense. You gotta do shit on Earth. You know, we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
So, well, so weird fact.
God invented food, and he was like, "Look what I did." Then he was like, "I don't have any friends." And he was like, "Friends, look what I made." And then we got pumpkin rolls.
Oh gosh. Oh man, I need a donut. A pumpkin donut muffin.
I ate mine last night. It was
Oh,
amazing.
did you bring 3 of them back?
No, I didn't even bring one back. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. I should have brought one with.
Oh man, do you want a cinnamon roll?
Do you want a muffin?
No, I'm good.
There you go.
I don't want to eat your muffins.
Muffin.
I don't want to eat your muffins.
Don't
I have
matter.
5 muffins. Most likely.
I have 2 cinnamon rolls. I have. That's about it. Everything else I'm eating.
What were we on?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Stoicism. Can
Oh.
I implement this into, like, how can I implement this into society?
Society?
Yeah. Because I feel like
Now-
in a way, it can be very beneficial.
Well, I think a big misconception, though, of philosophies in general, like, not one is the right answer.
No,
So I don't feel like,
there'll never be a right answer.
yeah. So
Somebody's
I think
going to be
depending on
Not the right
which
answer.
philosophy you choose depends a lot on what kind of person
Do
you
what
are
you want.
and your experiences throughout your life. But
The problem with that is we get to a point where everybody just doesn't give a fuck about anybody else but themselves. So it's like they're assholes, they're dicks, and then they get to a point like we are now, we're like, fuck the environment. But, you know, we're kind of doing okay about that. I can't wait until this 9 billion hits and we get to 10 and we get real freaked out. And then it just drops to 1.
it could.
Apocalypse.
I'm not really sure what they theorize is going to kill a bunch of people.
The trees.
Yeah. Too many people versus trees, maybe.
The ends are coming.
Maybe.
Gimli!
Big
Come, my boy.
Godzilla.
Sue, you're gonna use your wolf powers to save us.
Probably not. She's gonna run immediately.
I can't
You know,
put that.
Gimli's
No,
gonna hightail it out of there. Right, Kim?
she'll try. She'll do her best.
Probably. Again. Hi, Zoo. Hi, Zoo.
So, what one thing that I kind of got from it was you have to just realize that,
It's your attitude towards everything.
yeah, in major occurrences like death are again natural and a part of things, and you can't exactly fret over that.
Well, and one of the, and I just had listened to this last night. Like a lot of people get the misconception about stoicism that it means you can't have emotions at all, you can't show emotions at all, which is not even close to what it means when it talks about it. It more means like
Gotta do what you gotta do.
there is an appropriate amount of emotional reaction to every situation. Like if a family member dies, obviously you're going to be sad. If someone you're close to dies, obviously you're going to be very sad for a good amount of time. And essentially what it's saying is you need to really think about and realize, like, okay, what is an appropriate duration for me to feel this before I try to get back into my groove and so on and so forth. Like, how long do I hold on to this at a high emotional level, like where your emotions are affecting your behavior and things like that, versus how you are like normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's again just like,
It's like, because we're all humans.
yeah, we have emotions.
Like, emotions can't be suppressed 100% in normal circumstances,
Yeah, and if
just purely by willpower.
yeah.
I mean, yes, they can be suppressed a lot, but like not completely. Under normal circumstances,
It's not healthy to do so.
and yeah, it's not. I mean, it
just
because
creates
what I mean, it just
issues.
builds up and it builds up, and at some point, it all just floods out, and then you do it again, and you suppress it. It builds up, and it builds up, and it builds up, and then it all comes out at once, and it doesn't make for a happy life, or a healthy one for that matter.
I don't think a lot of people understand that either.
Yeah. And one thing, not one thing, but a big thing that I've gotten out from listening to this, and it never says this directly, is a lot of people these days, again, I'm making a generalization here, lack patience, me included. I mean,
Nobody's perfect.
nothing I'm saying is I'm sitting here on my high horse. I suffer from all these things. So, one thing I've kind of gotten into to help me work on just being patient is when I'm driving. Like if I'm on the highway or something, like getting behind someone driving under the speed limit and just staying behind them. Not like close, but like driving under the speed limit, like not in a hurry to get anywhere and not like freaking out like, why is this dude driving so slow? And it's like just sitting behind them and just driving however fast they're driving at a safe distance. Obviously, I'm not riding people's ass, but and just thinking about whatever.
Okay. So when we drive through big city, Sam's not driving.
But again,
We will not make it.
my car. It'll be
Yes.
fine. It'll be
Me
good.
or you driving though?
Yeah.
Sam's not driving because
It'll
Sam.
break for itself.
I'm not worried about Sam breaking.
No,
He's
the
just
car.
worried
I'm
about
worried
getting through it
about how
fast.
long is it going to take us to get from point A to point
Oh.
B.
Well, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't like sit behind a dude going 30 and a 60. I'm just talking like, 50 and a 55 or what?
They have a 70 or a 75 mile an hour between Colorado Springs and Denver.
Yeah,
We go 90.
yeah. No.
I went 105
Yeah.
Hey, man, I live my life by
for a good long while.
my 4 very simple rules.
No.
Always wear your seatbelt. Always use turn signals. Stop at every stop sign. 4 over, no pull over. That is how I live my life, driving life.
Yeah.
Running a stop sign costs $200.
Yeah.
I do not have $200 for 4 seconds.
Man, yielding a yellow light was almost $400. What? Punish me for, and me and Tony talked about this, but punish me for the crime I did. But not. Don't go overboard for it. You can kill somebody and you got 5 years. You can go to jail for having some drugs, which will be another topic we'll talk about. But it doesn't make sense. I don't want to see a killer come loose. I mean, unless it's voted upon that we have a killer that goes around and just kills a bunch of people, and that's how we kill the population. So, okay, it's the trained guy, and if he picks you, your time is your time. Just give him free reign.
I don't know if one person could kill enough people to make a difference, though. Like,
It'll
by
be-
himself.
It'll be a state thing. It's like, for your life, this is what you do. Here you go.
So, essentially, what the Nazis did.
No. Because what they did was
You were a
say,
Jew.
they picked you out and said, because of this, you have to die.
No.
I'm saying, what?
Because of this, I am better than you, and I am going to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
Haha,
Hey.
on guard.
let the universe do its thing. And if this guy is like, hey, I'm going to pick you off today, I'm at risk for all these plans too. So I'm going to vote against them. But I'm just, they're just thoughts. So,
I
in
don't
the
think
end,
that would happen, though.
something has to happen. We have to figure something out.
I'm going to have to get struck by lightning. Nothing's killed me yet.
I can't wait till that happens, and I lightning
Me
bend.
either, dude.
I cannot. It's gonna be great.
We'll go fly some kites later.
Oh, it's snowing.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes there's lightning inside the clouds.
Look, man, I have, but you don't. But I have the time. We can drive down somewhere and we can. Yo, are you down to go to Singapore in November? Listen, I know it sounds weird, but you have to trust me on this. The lightning storms are fantastic.
Oh, he's not talking next year. He's talking just at some point.
Yeah.
Got
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
At some point.
At some point, we'll go
I
anywhere
want to see a
you
bunch
want.
of stuff.
We're gonna go backpacking too. It's all good.
I want to see a bunch of stuff. Yes. World's a crazy place.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of it's not even here
No,
either. Most of it's in Europe.
I
want to
really
see a lot of
want
stuff in Europe.
Switzerland. Like, I want to go see the Matterhorn.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scotland. Oh man. So hopefully somebody's writing these down.
You got the pen.
Yeah. It's all mental. That's crazy. How long are you gonna go for? What are we at? Nice.
Where?
The other one. Top. All the way up top. To the right. Yeah.
Hour and a half.
That's all, yeah.
Hour and 40.
That's all we've got them so far.
Yeah.
What time is it? Oh, it's midnight. Yeah, you want to call it?
Yeah, sure.
I got a long day ahead of me. You got
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
What time?
Whenever
Whoa,
I
hold
get
on.
there.
Where's your ad read? Did you what did you learn about this today?
What did I learn about today?
Yeah.
I haven't learned anything today. It was a very monotonous day.
Oh, I just learned about this podcast.
Oh.
This run.
Not to light that second blunt right away. Probably could have gotten more out of us.
Yeah. I feel that.
But also I am tired from work.
Yeah. But I mean, if we, coming home and just sitting down talking for a minute and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
For
really
sure, it
opens
was
up.
good. But yeah, no. The shoes always hang out so far out of the aisle, and I always biff my shit. Especially when I'm like pushing a bunch of boxes, and then I hit like a crack in the floor, and the crack is just offset enough that the boxes catch and flip and trip me.
I hate shoes that are on top. I just want to be able to grab and go. So, why don't you fix that?
Fucking make you some high heels, my guy.
Oh man. Well, I think I learned that some aspects of stoicism I can implement in pre-K. Because other countries pre-K, they learn culture.
They say you're really not. Mind isn't developed for that type of rational thinking until they're between 7 to 10. So, introducing it in pre-K may not be.
I must be a really late bloomer.
Well, the brain, man, so the brain develops crazily. There's a 4-year-old who, like, already is, she knows saying it, like, just from, like, YouTube can be weirdly implemented. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people use the internet to learn enough stuff.
Which they could.
There's a bunch of shit posts.
Yeah.
Shit articles, fake articles.
So if we have a designated section like, hey, this is,
Yeah.
and we actually release it and say, hey.
But otherwise, yeah, you gotta have money to pay for good things like nature.
But in other countries that's taught in pre-K is like how to not be a fucking douchebag, and other countries do this where it's like as a world and people, that's us, instead of like, hey, do all the school shit. Because apparently now it's like you gotta know this and this and this before you can even get into kindergarten.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, it's crazy. So.
Yeah, alright.
Alright, well, where's your ad read? I'll buy you some time.
Keyless key rings.
What?
Keyless key rings.
Okay.
You don't put keys on them. You put them on your fingers.
So ring.
Keyless key ring.
Do these have patterns?
Usually. Sometimes they're in cute shapes, and sometimes they have expensive stones in them. Keyless key ring.
Where can I get one of these?
Walmart. Almost anywhere. Depends on how much you want to spend. They're just coming up though. They're gonna take over the ring.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, everybody go get your keyless key ring.
Yeah, keyless key ring.